Hey guys, I'm Zephyus, and this video will tell you all about the ISS. But what is the ISS, I hear you ask? Well, the short answer is that this is the ISS. I know it may look like a comet, maybe a planet, or even maybe a star, but the name behind the acronym may help you out. The International Space Station. Kind of gives it away, doesn't it? Especially as in the full name is in the title of the video. Just saying. Anyway, this ISS, apart from being dangerously close to a terrorist network and getting destroyed in gravity, is mainly known for being that place where people float around and do whatever. Far from it, as astronauts on board work 17-hour days, performing all sorts of experiments in zero gravity, including anything from observing ant colonies to 3D printing in space. They've got loads of really cool YouTube videos on here, so you can check those out if you're interested. Anyway, during this 17-hour day, the sun rises and sets 12 times. Wow. This is why, for all intents and purposes, they use GMT, or Greenwich Mean Time.
Hey
Jackie, you still got his?
No, they're different ones.
Oh yeah, that's me, by the way. This is because at their 400 kilometer orbit, they circle the Earth once every 93 minutes. So the following the time zones beneath would be kinda weird. Night is when the station passes through the shadow of the Earth, which is the same as the Earth really, because we're being shadowed by the planet. But since they are travelling at 7.66 kilometers a second, that night only lasts 3/4 of an hour. It's only 45 minutes. As well as this, there is a noticeable quirk in the station's orbit structure, and it is in the fact that it is inclined at 51 degrees, which is why it can pass over me, somewhere in the UK, as well as other places such as Tierra del Fuego, Toronto, Johannesburg, Melbourne, and Beijing, to name a few. So now we know why, where, and how the International Space Station exists, let's go back to a time where it didn't. The 1970s. During the Cold War, people were less concerned with internationalism, and having already raced for the moon, each side separately started developing their own space stations. The Americans had Skylab, which was all well and good, but this is where the Russians really excelled. Using the faithful Soyuz launch system, which is still in use today, they launched 7 space outposts, some civilian and some military. They were all called Salyut. Imaginative. Apart from their military potential, which I would go into Project Thor, but it's too long for the video, and Game Theory kind of did it, so watch that if you're interested. It's linked below. So apart from that, they were mainly an experimental breed, and mostly served to test techniques for living in space for long durations. The Mir program is when Russia really peaked at its solo station building talent. Orbiting in low Earth orbit, or LEO, it held many records for human habitation, was the first station composed of docked modules, and had very advanced technology for 1986. But as the years marched on and the USSR soon collapsed, funding became an issue. In January 1994, the station was impacted by a departing module, and a month later, Russia decided it would probably be a good idea to open up the station to other agencies, most notably NASA. In 1997, another impact with another craft severely damaged a solar array and actually depressurized the adjoining module. This is why you have separate solar arrays on the ends and not scattered throughout the station. I mean, look at that, that just looks messy compared to the ISS. This is why you have several stations and you improve the design over time. At this point, plans were underway to construct a communal international space station, and the technology on Mir was outdated to say the least. So, meanwhile, in November 1998, Zarya, the first module of this new ISS, was launched. Due to it being so obsolete, Mir was planned to be deorbited in 1999. But briefly, plans were made to turn it into the world's first off-world film studio. That sounds awesome. Unfortunately for everyone, really, these plans never came to being, and the station burnt up in 2001. But as mentioned, by now the ISS was being built, mainly to serve as an international communal hub in space. After Zariah, NASA sends up Unity. Linked onto Zariah, Unity provides a place for the shuttle to dock, as well as for other modules to dock. Unity was manually attached by the US astronauts, but wouldn't yet be inhabited for another 2 years. In 2000, the Russians sent up Zepherus, which provided living quarters, oxygen generators, and much-needed communication with the Earth, which finally made the ISS inhabitable. In November of that year, Expedition 1 was launched so that this habitation would become a reality. Ever since, there has always been at least one person up there in the station, and as a result it currently holds the record for the longest inhabited space station. Soon after, many additions to the station were made, including a science lab, an airlock, a docking module, and a robotic arm known as Canadarm, as well as a portion of the Integrated Truss System, or ITS, which is known as the backbone of the ISS. You can kinda see why. NASA's construction was halted for around 3 whole years due to 2003's infamous Columbia disaster, which seriously halted construction as shuttles were, for the most part, the main way of delivering modules. During this period, however, the Russians helped ferry crews to and from the station, and even sent up supplies using the remotely controlled Progress ships. The shuttle program started rolling again in 2006, when STS-116 blasted into orbit and docked with the ISS, increasing the total solar arrays on the station to 3. Yay! Thanks to this expansion, the station could now accommodate more modules, most notably a second lab and the Harmony docking node, which is known as the utility hub of the ISS. Also, it's kind of useful for, docking. That might be a thing. In addition to this, the European Space Agency sent up the Columbus Laboratory, their biggest contribution so far. What sets this module apart, though, is that I've been in it. Well, that might have been a replica in the research and development labs for the ESA in the Netherlands. But don't tell anyone. As well as this, Kibo, another experimentation module, was sent up by the Japanese Space Agency, or JAXA. This module being the largest so far to join to the station. The fourth array was soon attached, as well as the rest of the ITS, the Russian Poisk module, and other docking node known as Tranquility. More proof that we're running out of names for stuff in space. In addition to this, the cupola was added to the station, which made the entire thing 200% cooler. Just look at it. Look. It's just so awesome. Oh yeah, and cue more footage of me totally in space. Anyway, the last 2 modules were soon delivered, the Russian Ravset and the final module, Leonardo, used to store waste and rubbish. Brilliant way to top it off. So there we have it, 15 pressurized modules, 4 solar arrays and the ITS, constructed by NASA, the ESA, all 22 countries of it, JAXA, Roscosmos, which is the Russian Space Agency, whose name I've been casually avoiding due to the minefield of pronunciation, and the CSA. But despite popular belief, this current state isn't set in stone. Some more planned modules are intended to go up soon, like a European robotic arm, 2 Russian modules, and a unique inflatable module, serving as a temporary test for space habitation. But as we've seen with Mir and the stations before it, these things don't last forever. There have been plans made to maybe remove a few modules, or clean things up, or even split the entire station in 2. At the end of this, NASA planned to use the shuttles to bring back down their modules, but they're retired now, and funding would be a major issue. They have promised to fund the ISS until 2024, and indeed, so have the Russians, but beyond that is anyone's guess. So while you still see that light in the sky, orbiting absurdly fast, appreciate it for what it is, while you still can. I've been Zepherus, and thank you for watching.